Yoo-hoo! It's Luhu coming to you from my stitchy chair. It's been quite a while since I've done a Flosstube video, mainly for technical reasons. Starting in December, I had difficulty downloading my videos to YouTube, and with everything going on around the holidays, I kind of just put it aside. And then in January, I started having problems with my computer, which resulted in finding out that the motherboard was going on my computer, and that has taken up an entire month. Basically, I found out that I had to get a different internet service provider. I bought a new computer. I'm probably gonna have to buy a new printer. It's just been one technical difficulty after another. But somehow, through all of that, I've managed to stitch. And here's Violet. Some of you may have met her before in a previous video. Hi, sweetie. When I say hello, that's the proper etiquette. This is Violet. She's my cat. She's now shedding all over my black pants. Yay. Anyhow, where was I? Oh, I did manage to get some stitching done, some designing done for the upcoming Needlework Expo, which is a virtual wholesale show for shops and designers. So the shops can come and buy from the designers. Many of you will probably have heard that Nashville, the Nashville Needlework Market had gotten postponed from March until May, and then it was decided, mainly due to safety, that it wasn't a good idea to do it this year, which is a huge disappointment. I mean, I enjoy seeing people, but I was also somewhat relieved to not have to be worrying about safety issues with flying and being around a lot of people I'm not normally around. So anyhow, no Nashville, but Janice Conley, who is a noteworthy needle, she actually started working on doing a virtual show way back in, I think, October and November. And at that time, Nashville was still on the board. So she has worked super hard and done just put in a lot of time and effort into putting this whole virtual show together. So if you have a local needlework shop, make sure that they know there is still a wholesale show this spring. It's not meant to replace Nashville. We're all hoping Nashville is going to happen in 2022. And we're just looking forward to being able to do something this year in 2021. So anyway, yay, I'm excited, and I've managed to get some stitching done and some designing done in amongst all the technical difficulties. Okay, so this is mainly a video giving you a preview of what I've been working on. All right, so my first item that I want to show you, I am calling Summer Cottage, and it is a little mushroom cottage with a snail on his way to visit whoever lives in the cottage. You can decide who might live in the cottage. Maybe it's a ladybug or a grasshopper or something like that. Anyway, beautiful flowers growing in the flower boxes and then alongside of the little cottage. This is done. I stitched it on. Okay, I got stopped there. My husband called. This was stitched on 24 white, 24 count, white, 28 count. See, you interrupt me and I just lose my train of thought. Anyway, 28 count white Lugana in all DMC threads. So I've decided to really just maybe use more DMC. I'm not using it exclusively, but I am tending to gravitate toward DMC a little bit more, kind of due to availability of flosses recently. But I also just love all the colors. So anyway, this is called Summer Cottage. Okay. there we go. There's Summer Cottage. The next one is called Singing in the Rain, and it's going to be a little bit harder to show you, I think. It's long, but it features some ladybugs climbing up on the daisies, using the daisies as umbrellas from the rain that's coming down. It's done. It's kind of, in my mind, it's sort of a companion piece to Walking on Sunshine. But it doesn't have to be if you don't want it to be. It is stitched on, picture this plus, it's a sparkly, I'm totally drawing a blank. This is what it's been like. I need to start taking one of those supplements that help you think and remember things. It's a picture that, it's a 28 count, picture this plus Lugana. And it is, I do specify the fabric in the pattern, but I can't remember its name. And it's got sparkles in it. Can you see that? Sort of sparkles. And this also is done in all DMC threads. And I finished it as a hanging. I bought the hanger from HT Hangers on Etsy. And it's 6 inches and it just matched perfectly. And this is just fabric. I did not put any sort of, you can tell, I didn't put any sort of batting in here. It's just a hanging. That's all. And it's called Singing in the Rain. There you go. Okay, I have a total of 5 new releases coming out. And we're getting, I have 1 fall release. Everything else is kind of springy. I just was feeling spring, but I had this 1 fall piece that I did. These aren't, I just stuck these in here. Anyhow, this is, I'm just calling Pumpkin Pumpkin. It is done on 28 count lamb's wool Jobelin. And it is a mixture of specialty threads and DMC. But it's a lot of fun. It's a little more challenging because of all the back stitching here, but it is also a bit forgiving too. So if your back stitching isn't following the pattern perfectly, as long as you've maintained kind of the balance of the wreath, you're fine. So anyway, I love this for the rich colors that are there. And I mounted it on one of my husband's, they actually call these cookies in forestry. And a lot of times they take them to measure rings, how old a tree is, do some other analysis, but they also make great items for finishing out your cross stitch. So also, just as an aside, this is called blue stain. When you see wood like this, it's called blue stain. It's due to a bug that comes and stains the wood of a dead tree. So it's not a very profitable piece of wood, but it does have a niche market for it, like me. Anyway, so there's Pumpkin Pumpkin. Okay, Violet's watching me very intently. I'm going to show you, I'm saving one specifically for last, and you're like, why are you reaching over there when there's one right there? It's because I have one. So this is not quite finished. It's a week before Expo, and I'm still stitching. I'm tentatively calling this Springtime Peg. I really became enamored with peg dolls recently, and I haven't actually painted one. I have a whole box full of them ready to try painting, but I haven't painted one yet. However, I just love the kind of feel that they have. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go on Pinterest and search peg dolls, and you'll soon figure it out. So anyway, this is my little, I'm calling her Springtime Peg. She's a springtime fairy. There will be a whole bunch of, I'm calling them fairy lights or fairy flowers, or I don't know what you call them. Anyway, fairy flowers that are going to cascade over this way. So that's kind of the last thing. I have a little bit of back stitching to do on this flower right here, and then finish all the fairy flowers right here that will go across this way. And then of course, mount it and, you know, take pictures of it and create the pattern and get it printed and whoa. Anyway, springtime peg, but this is the main part of the picture. So if you can use a little imagination. This needle minder is actually from Autumn Lane Stitchery, and I got that from Erin and Cassandra Houston, friends of mine. There we go. So, and she is also stitched on 28 count white Lugana. I'm kind of having a love affair with 28 count and Lugana a lot. So you can expect to see more in future patterns. I intend on making this a series, definitely a seasonal series. So there will be a summer peg and a autumn or fall peg, and then also a winter peg, and maybe some other pegs. I don't know. Like I said, kind of enamored with peg dolls right now. Okay, now I want to talk to you about cows. Way back after Nashville, there were some designers talking about what they could do that would be fun for stitchers and designers alike, for future markets. And it was hit upon that, this is mainly Michelle Bendy's idea. It was hit upon that it would be fun if we just threw a theme out there of cows. And so several designers have designed cows, and there was a loose formatting, but basically you could do what you wanted. So the loose format was a 60 by 60 piece, and then there was a color palette from Sulky. So there are some Sulky threads associated with it, but not all designers have used Sulky threads to design their cows. I did, because I love Sulky threads, and I will be carrying the Sulky thread packs, so you can let your LNS know that. Anyway, I would like to introduce you to Flora Bloom, my take on a cow for the Moo the Merrier. The whole project has a name, it's called, and it is Moo the Merrier. And there she is, my take on a cow. Out eating flowers in the pasture. And this is actually mounted on an old piece of fence board, kind of looks like barnwood, and I love that. And it was actually my husband's idea. And then I made these fun felt flowers. And these were, I actually started out, these were leaves, but when I put them on there, they kind of look like cow ears, don't they? Anyway, so I kind of like how that ended up being sort of a theme, I guess you'd say. Anyway, Flora Bloom, she stitched on 28 count white Lugana, surprise, surprise. And she stitched in Sulky threads. So there you go. Anyway, so once again, this is the Moo the Merrier project. For LNSs, there will be a special room at Expo with all of the cows in it for designers who are participating at Needlework Expo. And pretty fun. So I imagine a lot of you are going to end up with a lot of cow designs this year. So those are all my new releases. I've told you about Needlework Expo. I told you about Moo the Merrier. I've told you about all my technical difficulties. So we'll hope and pray that this this video downloads without any problem while I sleep tonight. I'm gonna, because it stopped in the middle, thanks hubby, I'm going to have to go into Movie Maker and create something, and oh man, I hope it all works. I'm really hoping it works, because I have new internet, and instead of getting 16 bytes per second, I'm supposed to be getting upwards of 200 bytes per second. I really don't know what that means entirely, but hey, we're gonna, hopefully it works. I don't know, maybe I'll somehow get this onto my computer, my computer or my iPad, and be able to do it from that. Anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying your stitching this winter. I hope that you haven't had to endure too much bad weather. We've had cold weather, we've had a little snow, but nothing too extreme up here in Northern California. I should mention, I have a dear friend, and she's also my model stitcher, and she lives in Houston, and she stitched Singing in the Rain. Her name's Catherine Velarde. She stitched Singing in the Rain and Summer Cottage for me, and got them in the mail to me right before the horrible, terrible weather and power outages all happened in Houston. Fortunately, as far as I know, everything's okay. She told me things were okay. They'd been cold, but they didn't have any burst pipes or anything like that. But I do know they spent kind of a miserable week dealing with the cold and the snow and no power and everything else. So don't forget to remember all those folks in Texas who are coming out of that, and I think Louisiana and some other parts of the South. I don't know how I got off on that. See, this is actually how my mind works. It sort of rambles from one thing to the next. And it's rambling from one thing to the next. Anyway, all right, folks, happy stitching, and we'll see you after Needlework Expo, and I can tell you all about how wonderful it was. Happy stitching.